Hello there, mates. Welcome to another episode of Every Day is a Story All Its Own Pirate Style. That's right, I'm back. Angus, Quill, MacGregor, the chronicler of captains and kings. Well, my first episode, which was done really pirating style, just taking over Joey's studio when he was out at the parlay, worked out pretty well. People really liked it. And so Joey's been so busy, he's writing some books. I'll tell you more about that as part of this episode, I think. And doing some other things. He was out, he traveled across the mountains and went and acted a little part in a film, whatever that is, more of that mermaid technology that he's involved with. And so he's asked me to do the next several episodes. So I decided that I'm going to share with you my favorite stories about pirates. So sit back, relax, light up your pipe if you got one, and let's talk about my top 10 favorite fiction books about pirates. Let's go, mates. Alright, mates, well, let's jump right in. Now, this first book may be surprising to you, but I would go out and find it straight away because it's quite excellent. And it's called The Dealings of Captain Sharky and Other Tales of Pirates. And it's by none other than Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, if you know that name, it's probably because of Sherlock Holmes. But Conan Doyle, well, he was interested in ghosts and spirits, which Joey also is involved with. And he talked a lot about that kind of things in his non-fiction books. But in his fiction books, see, it wasn't just about Holmes. As a matter of fact, he killed him, pushed him off a cliff to kill him. But people loved Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Dr. Watson so much that, of course, he had to bring them back. But he did write about other things. He wrote about knights and he wrote a lot of supernatural stories. But he wrote this Captain Sharky tale. It's got all of Doyle's attention to detail, great amount of research, wonderful unloading the tale, character studies, all the great things that you need if you're going to be a good storyteller. So go out and get that one. Now, it's also important, that one, because it turns out that an old ancestor of a mate of mine that I sailed with when I first went on the account, a young man named Joseph Staton, who I'm going to be talking about in my forthcoming novellas, The Cannon and the Quill, coming out this summer. Well, old Joseph happened to have a relative who knew Dr. Watson, spent a lot of time around Holmes, and wrote about some of their stories. Now, Joey has happened to have found those journals, and he's working on them. First of 2020, some Sherlock Holmes stories are going to be coming out that Joey's going to be sharing with everyone. So let's move right on. So the second and third are by the same author, and this is Raphael Sabatini. Now, again, might not know him for pirate stories. Maybe you know him for the French Revolutionary tale of Scaramouche. Now, Scaramouche was a heck of a sword fighter, a man we certainly admire. Well, the two books, though, that I want to talk about were also made into Errol Flynn films. The first one being The Seahawk and the second one being Captain Blood. Now, Captain Blood is pretty faithful. It's a wonderful story. It's got the absolutely gorgeous Olivia de Havilland in it, and I really think that you should watch that. It also has, it has Basil Rathbone connecting back to Doyle with Sherlock Holmes. It's all connected, folks. All the really good storytelling is connected. But anyway, Basil Rathbone plays none other than Levasseur, the French rogue of a pirate, a man that I also sailed with in my time with Captain Sam Bellamy. Now, Captain Blood's wonderful. The man gets taken for the Jacobite Revolution, put in jail, but he escapes. He leads an uprising. He takes over a ship, and it's quite wonderful. Now, let's move on to the fourth book. This is one you may not know about at all, but you really should go out and try to find it. This is called Sword of Tortuga, and it's by a very dear friend of mine, a man who I've sat on this wonderful pirate ship, 54-foot, that he built with his own hands in the middle of America. 50 years ago, just turned 50 years old, and it's called the Mika 2, and I'm talking, of course, about Captain Horatio Sinbad. That's his name, folks. And furthermore, he was given a letter of marque, in the time of your President Reagan, by Reagan himself, and also by the governor of North Carolina. Captain Horatio Sinbad happens to be the only legally licensed privateer in these United States of America. His story is wonderful. It's a little bit in the present, it's a little bit in the past. It really walks that wonderful line between the fantasy of being a pirate, the reality of being one, what the lifestyle is all about. A man in modern times who's lived it better than many of the men who lived in my times. So you're going to want to check out that book, Sword of Tortuga. Now, the next one here, I got to take a look at in my crib notes here. Some of these have very long titles. This happens to be one of them. It's by a man, again, who you probably know for Of Mice and Men and Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck. But I also couldn't resist telling a good pirate tale. This one is about Henry Morgan. Now, the full name of this is Cup of Gold, A Life of Henry Morgan, Buccaneer, with occasional references to history. Right, so Morgan is a pirate that I grew up on. I liken him sometimes to Robin Hood. Your grandma, your grandpa, sit you on your knee, tells you some tales of the sea, and they're going to tell you about Henry Morgan. Henry Morgan, he fought and he took Portobello and some other places on the Spanish Main. He fought for the English. Well, when the Treaty of Utrecht was signed, which I told you about in the last episode, well, Morgan got caught in the middle. He had really made a fool of the Spanish, and the Spanish don't like to be made fools of, not at all. And so they said, well, someone's going to be in trouble for this. Someone has got to pay the price for what went on. We understand there was war, but you did it a little too well, and we think it was all the doing of this Henry Morgan. So Morgan spent time in prison, but he went on and did some other things too. He was redeemed, as he should have been, and really a pirate that we look at, we pirates, with a lot of respect, a lot of admiration. In many ways, he really did it the right way, and Steinbeck does it in his own inimitable style as well. So, 2 more books, again, coming up by the same author. I'm going to talk about them together. It's Captain in Calico, about Captain Jack Rackham. He gives Rackham a lot more credit than he deserves. This author, whose name is George MacDonald Fraser. Now again, Fraser isn't primarily known for pirate stories. What is he for? He's for Flashman Harry Flashman. Joey loves Harry Flashman. He's read, I think there's about a dozen books. He's read all of them, read them as he was practicing for his own historical tales that he's writing, including helping me out with the Canon and the Quill. Harry Flashman is quite a character. Malcolm McDowell played him in a film a long time ago. Really, really interesting character. But Fraser adds the right amount of sexiness, right amount of plundering, sword fighting, rapscallionism, all the different things that make pirates really, really pirates. These are grand, wonderful adventures. They got very little, if nothing, to do with history. But don't let that stop you enjoying some really, really fine pirate tales by a master storyteller. The other one is called, I didn't give you the title, The Pirates, and that's proper way, P-Y-R-A-T-E-S, The Pirates. And of course the other one, which I mentioned, Captain in Calico, about Captain Jack Rackham, who I'll be talking about anytime that I have a chance to be on the show. Rackham will probably come up. Interesting guy, especially how he relates to Charles Vane. So let's go here. We're moving right on. Just a couple more to go. King of Pirates by Daniel Defoe. Defoe, very interesting, and links to the 9th book on my list of 10. But Daniel Defoe's King of Pirates is about Henry Every. Now, Every is more myth than fact. Another one that, we grew up on Grandpa's knee. You told us about Henry Morgan, but now we've been really, really good. We've done all our chores. It's not quite yet time to go to sleep. So please, Grandpa, tell us about Henry Avery. Now, Avery started out in the Royal Navy, didn't like it, got a rebellion going up, a mutiny, took over a ship, went and raised all kinds of bloody hell, proper pirate style. And then the Grand Mufti, the Grand Kraken, I don't know what his name is, a Middle Eastern prince or sultan of sorts there. He takes his ship, takes all of his treasure, and marries his daughter. Not bad for a Royal Navy man, probably destined to be whipped and treated badly, scrubbing the decks, lashed to the mast, all that bit. Winds up taking the Sultan's treasure ship and his daughter. And that's the way they told it to us. Now, whether that's true or not, I'll leave it to you. He may have died penniless. His life may have gone nowhere, but much better. Sit your wee lad or lass upon your knee and tell him all about Henry Avery and all the wonderful, great things that he did in his life, and leave all the cautionary tale stuff out for another time. All right, so Daniel Defoe. Now, Defoe was thought for a long time, and it's been recently disproven by a mate of mine, Bayless Brooks, who I'll be talking about his stories in a future episode, Top 10 Non-Fiction Books about pirates. Great scholarship if you really want to learn the story outside of what I tell you. A lot of facts and figures I can possibly remember or have time or interest to share. But anyway, so we find out that there was a book in 1724. Now, pay really close attention to this. 1724, out comes a book called The General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates. Sounds like a bestseller, and it certainly was. Had all kinds of editions, 27, 28, going forward, changed things, changed men's names, changed where Blackbird was from. Oh, was he from Bristol? Oh, was he from Jamaica? Oh, was he from somewhere else? Don't use this book as history. Now, some people might put it on a historical list. Don't be fooled. It's by a man, let's give it, say, a nom de guerre, as the French say, a name of war, a pseudonym, Captain Charles Johnson. There was no such man. And as I said, for a long time, they thought it was Daniel Defoe. Well, it wasn't. It was a man, a fellow Jacobite with us, named Nathaniel Mist. Mist ran the printing press. Mist worked out of Boston. The Boston newsletter was always saying bad things about pirates. Mist was trying to move the Jacobite cause forward. He got himself into trouble, and he struck a deal with the government. Daniel Defoe was a spy in his shop. Oh, the government. Oh, the government. Watch out for the government. In your times, same as in my times, watch out for the government. They're not your friend, mates. They're about subjugating you and making you live a life of slavery, and they're clever. They make slavery look a lot like freedom. Don't be fooled. So anyway, Nathaniel Mist is forced to write this story. Oh, the pirates are horrible. Oh, the pirates are terrible. Problem is, this general history of pirates, notorious murderers, on and on, robberies, thieving, all this in the title, is the book used by your Hollywood, used by a lot of your other writers in order to tell their stories. And so a lot of falseness has been propagated. Go to the book, make of it what you will. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a big old thick thing. It covers a lot of the pirates. Johnson knew a lot about sailing. Mist talked to a lot of captains and seafaring people being there in Boston. He knew all about it. So it's worth taking a read of. Now, the last book I saved for the last, and I bet you've been waiting for it. You've been saying, Angus, all these books sound great. I'm going to go out and get them straight away one way or another. But what about Treasure Island? Hey, mates, what about Treasure Island? By the great Robert Louis Stevenson. Wrote this story, very enduring. Brought a lot of, walking the plank and, shiver me timbers and, dead men's chest on a bottle of rum and all that bit. He brought a lot of it in. And it's really great stuff. I wish we had used it, had thought of it in our time, but we did it. he has a character in his book, of course, makes a lot of trouble for young Hawkins, almost kills the young boy. Spoiler alert there, sorry, but he doesn't. Name it Israel Hands. Now, Israel Hands really was a quartermaster, a selling master under Blackbeard. I knew Israel Hands very well. There is a famous incident with Blackbeard and Israel Hands where Blackbeard supposedly shot him in the leg, blew his leg off because of a mutiny. I'll be talking about all of that in the future. But Treasure Island, it's a classic. Now, ways away from now, I'll be doing my top 10 TV series and miniseries and films, and I'll be talking about 2 or 3 of Treasure Island, making my list, kind of crowding it, because it is really amazing. Joey has finished a musical adaptation of Treasure Island that should be getting out into the world, hopefully, in the next couple of years. Well, that's what I have for you. Those are my top 10 fiction books. Just gonna make a look here because I am over 300 years old. Talked about that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Yeah, yep. Covered them all. Got all 10. So, if you like this video, please hit the little thumbs up. We do have a Patreon page if you want to interact with Angus one-on-one. Donate some money to the Patreon to help keep this storytelling show alive. What else can I tell you? Oh, definitely. We're going to start something. Joey really is pleased with all of this, and he's quite busy doing other things, like I said, so it's working out. The timing is very good. Raise the sails, and in comes the wind. Very good timing. And so, going to do an Asked Angus feature. You can ask me anything, but you need to put them down in the comments or any place where advertising is bit out in the mermaid technology world of the web, as they call it. I'll take those questions. When I have 4 or 5 of them, I'll do a little show and answer your questions. It can be about anything, about history, my time, your time, government politics, really anything. If you're having problems with your love life, I am married to a wonderful girl named Elish. I do have a son named Callum, so I do know a little bit about fatherhood, family life, being a good husband. Valentine's Day just came and went. Do know a little bit about that and all. So thank you very much. Smooth sailing for you, wind in your sails, following seas and all that good stuff. May the booty be pleasurable and at your fingertips, and I'll see you again soon.